Hello everybody, I am Pixel and today I will be bringing you guys a review of the CM Storm Alcor. This is a mouse that has just been released by Cooler Master and it's got an optical sensor and all that kind of cool jazz, so it's really good for FPS games. And normally I would do an unboxing video before I do a full review, however Cooler Master were kind enough to send me this out before it's released, so the box was just plain white. You do get a little leaflet in there. There is no driver disc and there is no drivers for this mouse currently out there either. But yeah, check the review. It'll go to the end, see my conclusions, and I will tell you if you should go out and get this mouse or not. Check back in a sec. Okay, so earlier on in the week, Cooler Master released two brand new gaming mice, the CM Storm Alcor and the CM Storm Mizar. Now, both of these mice seem to feature a shape which is highly reminiscent of the Microsoft IntelliMouse 3.0, albeit a tiny bit smaller. In this video, we will be focusing on the optical censored Alcor, but I will also be uploading a video on the laser censored Mizar soon, so make sure that you do keep a check out for that because both of these mice have got an awful lot in common. So when it comes to the features, the Alcor has an ergonomic design, on-run switch is rated for up to 20 million clicks, a high-impact Alps encoder scroll wheel, on-the-fly DPI switching, two side buttons, a basic rubber cable which has got a gold-plated USB on the end, and a glowing CM Storm logo which changes colour depending on your DPI settings. And finally, the sensor itself is the Avago 3090 optical sensor. At first glance, all this does seem pretty standard, so we took the mouse into some grip testing to see if it stood out in any other ways. When trying to palm grip the mouse, I have to admit that the mouse does feel a little bit too small, and this is actually something that did surprise me as the shape is pretty much the same as the IntelliMouse 3.0, yet it's not quite as long and it's not quite as tall, so no matter how hard I tried, I found that my thumb and my little finger were scraping along the mouse mat. So unless you've got rather small hands, I am really doubting that you're going to be wanting to palm grip the Alcor. On the other hand, the claw grip felt great. I found that the butt of the mouse rested comfortably against my palm, and the contours on either side allowed me to easily grasp the mouse between my thumb and my pinky finger with very little pressure. While using the claw grip, the left click, the right click, the scroll wheel and the side buttons also did still seem perfectly placed. Now, the fingertip grip is also my personal grip of choice, and I have to say that I did struggle at first, and that is mainly down to the way that the mouse seems to bulk out towards the back. However, once I did start to adapt, the mouse did perform really well, and I was still able to reach both the right clicks, the left click, and one of the side buttons and even the scroll wheel, which is something that you're not always able to reach on fingertip grip mice. Overall, after testing out all these grips, I do believe that the claw grip is the best way to be using the Alcor, closely followed by the fingertip grip, and surprisingly, even though that the mouse is designed to be ergonomic, same as the IntelliMouse 3.0, the size difference just meant it was a little bit too small for me to personally palm grip, and I don't know how everybody's going to be able to handle that. Saying that, the IntelliMouse 3.0 was a little large, so if you found that mouse a little bit too big, then maybe this will be the perfect compromise. Anyway, after messing around with the grip styles, we took the mouse in game for some real testing. We played some Battlefield 4, some Warsaw and even some Titanfall Beta. Right off the bat, the first thing that I did notice was the painfully high lift-off distance, and due to the fact that I play on a very low sensitivity / DPI, I do tend to lift the mouse rather frequently. I did get in contact with Cooler Master about this issue, and I have since been told that they are currently looking into making a firmware update that could help with this problem. In the meantime, I use the good old tape trick that lowers the lift-off distance of optical mice by reducing the amount of light which hits the surface, hence why you can see the white tape on the bottom of the mouse in the previous shots. On a side note, I will leave a link to a tutorial on how to do the tape trick in the description below. Anyway, once the tape was in place, I have to say that the mouse did perform flawlessly, and the lift-off distance was reduced to somewhere between 1 and 3 millimeters. And after that, I got the feeling that I was getting pixel per pixel tracking, and I was in control of every single movement. After getting used to everything, I decided to test the mouse on a range of sensitivities and DPIs, and as I expected, the lower DPIs did feel much more accurate. On the mouse's max DPI of 4000, I did experience a fair amount of jitter, however I should point out that this could be mainly down to the use of the tape trick. Once the tape was removed, the 4000 DPI setting was smooth, but once again we had the huge problem with the lift-off distance. Saying that, I honestly see no reason to go above around 1600 DPI in 99% of cases anyway, and I think that one thing that people fail to remember and realise is that crazy high DPI settings are usually just there for stat padding by companies that create and manufacture gaming mice. Simply increasing your in-game sensitivity or your Windows sensitivity will normally harvest much better results than simply high DPI due to the inherent limitations of human dexterity. Even on high-end laser mice, I always seem to find myself falling back to between 800 and 1600 DPI, depending on the game and application. What this does mean is that if for some reason you still do desire a very high DPI mouse for whatever reason it may be, then the CM Storm Alcor is simply not going to be for you. We also tested the mouse on a range of different surfaces which included wood, leather, cloth and rubber, and I have to say, just like expected, the mouse did perform better on non-reflective, non-patterned surfaces, so I would have to recommend a simple dark rubber pad or a simple dark cloth pad. Although it is true there are some issues that not just the Alcor, but all optical mice in general suffer from, I have to say that the Avago 1390 optical sensor has got to be one of my favourite sensors of all time. There seems to be literally zero acceleration or angle snapping, and due to the lack of smoothing there is virtually zero input lag, and these are all issues that laser mice suffer from more to lesser degrees. And that is why many, if not most, competitive FPS gamers do choose optical mice. Now also, bearing in mind that the Alcor comes in at around £30 or around $40, I can honestly say that you're going to struggle to find a mouse that performs this well at this price point. However, do stick around for my conclusions because I do have a few things that I would like to address, such as the build quality, scroll wheel, lack of drivers, and the features in comparison to the CM Storm Mizar. So, let's get into that. Okay guys, for my conclusions on the CM Storm Alcor, I have to say that I actually really do enjoy using this mouse and I think it's got some amazing potential, but there are a few issues which I was saying were niggling at the back of my mind, and the main ones do revolve around the fact that this mouse here is the CM Storm Mizar or Mizar. I'm not 100% certain how you pronounce that. And as you can see, if I put them side to side, gotta be careful not to click off anything because one of them is live, they are effectively almost identical, apart from the Mizar has got a laser sensor on the bottom of it. It's got some nice rubber feeling pads on the sides where you grip. It's got a scroll wheel that glows, DPI changer which glows, and it's got driver software so you can customize a lot of this stuff in software. It's also got a braided cable so it doesn't knock quite as badly. And this brings me on to like the big issue, and that is that the Mizar or the Mizar, I'm not 100% certain how I'll pronounce it, like I said, is only £10 more or around $12, $15. I'm not 100% certain on the American prices, and it seems such a shame because being a FPS gamer primarily, I really do like my optical mice because, like I said in the review, there is less acceleration, snapping issues, and there is less smoothing, which means that there's less input lag, which makes them almost perfect for pixel tracking and doing massive movements around your mouse mat. And I would have just really liked to be able to have the features of the Mizar in the Alcor. Just have the overall build quality feel that much better. It would be just so much cooler, to be honest. Because, first off, a rubber cable, you don't really realise this until you go back and forth between rubber and braided, but you're much more likely to get them tangled up, and they spin around and get locked up, so you can have some issues with rubber cables. It's not the end of the world, and as long as you're clean and tidy and you make sure that you've got your cable in a nice position, it's not going to make that much difference at all. But yeah, I do kind of wish that they would have put the sensor from the Alcor into the Mizar, and that would have been perfect for me. The second issue, and this is actually going to be the biggest issue, and that is the biggest competitor to the Alcor right now is another CM Storm mouse, and that's silly. It's really silly. And that mouse that I'm talking about is the CM Storm Recon Optical, and the reason why I say it's better than this, there is a massive flaw in the Recon as well, which I will get onto, is that the overall build quality feels better. It's got a nicer scroll wheel, it's got more lights, not that that makes a massive difference. It's got the braided cable, but the biggest difference is the software. You get to change all the light positions, you get to change your DPI settings, your polling rates, there's just so much you can do in that software, which really does make the Recon at only £8 more a better buy than the Alcor. But the downside with the Recon is that it's ambidextrous design. I can't say that word either. And that is where the buttons are on both sides as well, because it's made for both left-handed and right-handed users. The issue with this is they kind of put the buttons in a bad position on the Recon, so you do accidentally press. You can turn off the buttons in the software, but I do understand that even just feeling like you've pressed a button can be kind of frustrating, and it is. The last issue, the very last, and it's quite minor issue with the Alcor, is the scroll wheel. It is very, very light, and it just doesn't feel like it's got any clunk to it. So if you're going to be using it to switch weapons, which I would never recommend that anybody does, but if you was going to use it to switch weapons, then you could be having a few issues with that. But when we get onto the positives of the mouse, I have to say, the Alcor, for its price range, is one of the best mice available. The tracking is superb as soon as you've got the good old tape trick in place. And hopefully the firmware will come out for this in future, but once you've actually got it working with the tape trick, and you actually get into using it with the claw grip or the fingertip grip, like I said, it does feel a little bit too small for the palm grip. This is going to be one of the best mice on the market, sub £50 or $60, $70. And I honestly do believe that. I think Cooler Master have done an amazing job at bringing this to market. Again, I would love to see them change the features of this mouse to the Mizar, and then it'd be even better. But right now, I honestly don't think that there's another mouse at this price point which you should get instead of the CM Storm Alcor. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the review, guys. If you did, don't forget to slap that subscribe button for some more PC gaming goodness. And as always, like the video if you like the video, because it really does help share this video around and all that kind of good jazz. Anyway, guys, I am Pixel. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.